I would have never known that Pedro Pascal suffers from social anxiety, and when he's anxious, he usually tries to have contact with someone, and this is what happened at the Comic-Con 2024. We could see Pedro reaching out for some physical contact, and Vanessa Kirby, who has worked closely with him, immediately recognized his need for comfort and was there to hold his hand.
Really stepping into, I think, the essence of what this comic is, and the original Marvel family.
We are about to start filming on Monday or Tuesday, one of those days.
We'll say us.
We'll say
Us.
we'll say that the 1960s are pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
This is Marvel's first family. We have 4 amazing actors. They've bonded. They are a family already.
Pedro is one of the best actors I've ever witnessed and worked with. So who could possibly be better to lead this movie?
Vanessa Kirby
No.
is my assassin.
Yeah,
She's
that's not going to
a
get
killer.
excited.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. With Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal.
It's also the world. It's a completely new world.
We're going into an era where the comic was born.
Isn't that exciting?
Something strange is happening with Pedro Pascal, and no, it's not just the weird interviews. As Marvel ramps up promotion for Fantastic Four, Pedro just gave an interview that has fans cringing, critics side-eyeing, and even some insiders whispering that Disney might regret giving him a mic. It all started with a puff piece from Collider hyping up the reboot, and at first glance, it looked harmless. Just another Marvel promo. But once people actually read Pedro's quotes, oh, it got messy fast. He didn't just praise his co-star Vanessa Kirby, he practically worshipped her on record. He said, "Powerful women have been the thing that has gotten me through being alive." Yeah, that's a real quote, and it didn't stop there. Pedro gushed, rambled, and even told her on camera, "I don't really know what I'm going to do without you, Vanessa." The internet lit up. Fans started digging up viral clips showing Pedro constantly touching Kirby during press events. Some say it's social anxiety. Others say it's crossing the line. But now a bigger question is floating around. Is this Marvel's way of selling the new era, or is something way deeper going on with Pedro Pascal himself? Buckle up, because this might not be about the Fantastic Four anymore. This might be about a leading man who's giving off energy that's got everyone just a little uncomfortable, because here's the part that made fans pause and say, wait, is this still about the movie? During his Collider interview, Pedro Pascal didn't just talk about the film. He made it personal, really personal. He said working alongside Vanessa Kirby wasn't just inspiring, it was transcendent. And then came this gem, to stand beside one, to learn from one. It's a partnership, male and female, but also kind of transcendent. That's not just co-star praise. That's practically poetry. And not everyone is swooning. Some fans love the sentiment, others, they're calling it obsessive, like borderline unprofessional. And that's where things started to spiral, because shortly after, a viral fan compilation began circulating, clips showing Pedro repeatedly touching Vanessa Kirby during red carpet events and press appearances, hand on shoulder, arm around, waist, constant leaning in, every single time. Some said it was sweet, others uncomfortable at best. One user tweeted, "This man looks like he's clinging to her like a life raft." And it gets more complicated. Some defenders pointed out Pedro struggles with social anxiety and that maybe physical contact helps him feel grounded. But even so, people are asking the hard question. If this were any other actor doing it, would we still be calling it sweet? Or would we be calling it something else entirely? You know what I mean? Because here's the thing. We're living in a post-#MeToo world. And even if Pedro's intentions are totally innocent, the optics matter. Especially when you're the male lead in one of Marvel's biggest upcoming reboots, and just when the dust started to settle, Pedro went and said something that stirred the pot even more. In the same interview, while the conversation was supposedly about Fantastic Four, Pedro casually dropped a line that sent fans into a full-on meltdown. He said he loved being led by powerful women, and then emphasized that he was completely fine taking a back seat while Vanessa Kirby's character, Sue Storm, led the charge. Now, that might sound progressive on paper, but the way he said it didn't feel like empowerment. It felt like surrender. Like the leading man of Marvel's first family was proudly announcing he's not the lead anymore, and that Sue is now front and center, and that's exactly how Marvel seems to want it. Pedro's comments just confirmed what fans had already been suspecting. This isn't the Fantastic Four of the comics. This is the Sue Storm show with Reed Richards playing second fiddle, or as some fans are calling it, Mr. Fantastic gets downgraded to Mr. Background. The backlash was instant. Online forums lit up, memes started flying, and even conservative outlets like That Park Place took aim. They published a scathing article pointing out that Pedro Pascal isn't just promoting the film, he's promoting a full-on reversal of roles and maybe even revealing more about himself than the script. Their take? Pedro isn't just acting like a backup, he might genuinely prefer it. They wrote, Pedro Pascal, who's stepping into the shoes of Reed Richards, is no stranger to playing second banana to powerful women. And look, that's not even a subtle dig. That's a full-on call-out. And it raises a much bigger question. Is Pedro's portrayal of Reed Richards shaped by the script or by Pedro himself? Pedro's praise for Vanessa Kirby didn't stop at calling her powerful or inspiring. He went further, way further, in what fans are now calling one of the most bizarre co-star compliments in recent memory. Pedro said, "I don't really know what I'm going to do without you, Vanessa." That's not a movie line. That's a real quote from a real interview. And coming from the lead of a billion-dollar franchise, it felt unhinged, gushy, almost romantic in a way that felt out of place, especially in a press setting. Some fans were charmed, but many weren't. To them, it didn't feel like admiration. It felt like obsession, and the timing couldn't have been worse. Because just as that quote started going viral, fans started circulating footage of Pedro's red carpet behavior, clips showing him frequently touching Vanessa Kirby during press tours, resting his hand on her shoulder, leaning in close, brushing arms again and again. The repetition was hard to ignore. And while some viewers chalked it up to social anxiety, others weren't so forgiving. One tweet summed it up perfectly. "It's giving clingy. And if this were any other male actor, y'all would be dragging him." The mood shifted fast, from sympathetic curiosity to full-blown suspicion. Suddenly, Pedro's poetic language wasn't cute anymore. It was weird. And it started making people uncomfortable. But just when it seemed like things couldn't get more awkward, Vanessa Kirby stepped in. And instead of calming things down, her response only raised more eyebrows. She called Pedro the most supportive male co-star I've ever worked with, and said she felt grateful every day to work beside someone so generous. Generous? For what? Doing his job? Reading his lines? Not throwing a tantrum because the script didn't make him the alpha male? That's what fans couldn't wrap their heads around. Her praise sounded more like damage control than authenticity. Like Marvel was desperately trying to spin this as, look how evolved our male lead is, when all he really did was stay in his lane, and here's where the Marvel machine really starts showing its cards. Because this wasn't just Pedro Pascal going off script, everything he said lines up with exactly what Marvel wants you to believe. That Fantastic Four is no longer about Reed Richards, the aloof genius and classic team leader. It's now fully about Sue Storm. According to That Park Place and Collider, producer Grant Curtis even said it outright, Sue is the emotional and narrative core of this movie. Without her, everything falls apart. That's not subtle. That's a complete restructuring of the franchise. The old Reed, the one who led the team, solved the problems, and held it all together with logic, has been sidelined. And in his place? An emotionally intelligent Sue Storm, rebranded as the heart and backbone of Marvel's first family. And look, it's not just about giving Sue more screen time, it's the way they're doing it. Director Matt Shakman confirmed. She's not just taking charge of the team, she's also running the entire Future Foundation. She's the boss, she's the strategist, she's the soul, and Reed? He's the nerd with no emotional depth, stuck playing backup while she feels her way to victory. One Marvel insider even put it like this: if Reed is the most scientifically intelligent person on the planet, then Sue is the most emotionally intelligent. Translation: Reed's logic is boring. Sue's feelings are power. That's the new formula. And for a lot of longtime fans, it's exhausting. Because let's be real, this isn't the first time Marvel's tried to sell emotional intelligence as leadership while turning iconic male characters into passive sidekicks. It's a pattern, and audiences are starting to notice. The pushback isn't just about Pedro Pascal acting weird in interviews or Vanessa Kirby using the word generous like it's a trophy. It's about the larger message that Marvel's new. Formula isn't just rewriting characters, it's rewriting dynamics. And not everyone's on board. And here's the part that really makes you stop and ask, how deep does this go? Because Pedro Pascal wasn't Marvel's first choice for Reed Richards, not even close. Before he ever stepped into the role, Marvel reportedly offered it to Adam Driver. Yes, the Adam Driver, known for playing intense, brilliant, emotionally complex characters. But he turned it down. Why? According to insiders, he couldn't emotionally connect with the script or the character. That's not some scheduling conflict excuse. That's a direct hit to the way Reed Richards is being written. And it didn't stop with Driver. Word is multiple other high-profile actors also walked away from the role, all for the same reason. The script just didn't resonate. Some found Reed underwritten. Others couldn't make sense of his new passive energy. The one thing they all seemed to agree on? This wasn't the Reed Richards they knew. And that speaks volumes. Because when top-tier actors start distancing themselves from a legacy Marvel role, it's not just about timing. It's about the tone of the project and the fact that something feels off. So when Pedro Pascal finally said yes, fans couldn't help but connect the dots. The obsessive praise of Vanessa Kirby, the surrendering of leadership to Sue Storm, the awkward quotes, the overly emotional tone, it all started to feel like Pedro was hired not despite this energy, but because of it. Because he fits the new model, the male lead who doesn't lead, the brilliant man who steps aside, the character that exists not to dominate but to validate. And maybe that's what Marvel wanted all along. At this point, it's hard to pretend this is just a one-off casting choice or a script quirk. The pattern is undeniable and Marvel fans are noticing. First, it was Jane Foster wielding Thor's hammer, then Shuri stepping in as Black Panther. And now Sue Storm isn't just a strong character, she's the character, the leader, the heart, the center. And every time this happens, Marvel wraps it in the same emotional packaging, words like soulful, transcendent, empathic, and deeply feminine. They're not just shifting storylines, they're shifting archetypes. Male characters are becoming sidekicks in their own franchises, while women are elevated not just through strength, but through what Marvel now frames as emotional superiority. And the truth is, fans aren't mad that Sue Storm is getting more shine. They're mad at how obvious the formula has become. It's not about balance, it's about pendulum swings. Reed Richards didn't evolve, he vanished. His core traits weren't reimagined, they were erased. And when even Adam Driver walks away from a role because he can't connect to what's on the page, that's not just a casting problem. That's a creative one. It signals that Marvel might be so focused on making a statement, they're forgetting how to tell a story. Worse yet, it's starting to hurt them where it counts. The box office? Fan fatigue is real. Audiences don't want lecture scripts emotionally, neutered men, or soft-focus empowerment speeches every 10 minutes. They want characters who feel human, flawed, and balanced. And when even the most diehard Marvel fans begin saying, "I'll wait for streaming," you know something's broken. Now let's come back to Pedro, because while Marvel's gender politics are raising eyebrows on one front, Pedro's behavior is quietly stirring another. That viral clip of him on the red carpet, the one where he keeps reaching out to Vanessa Kirby, touching her arm, brushing against her shoulder, it didn't just go viral for fun. It went viral because it felt off, unnatural, almost needy, and the fact that it kept happening again and again in different interviews under different circumstances, it struck a nerve. People started asking questions, not just about the man, but about the message. Some defended him, saying he likely suffers from social anxiety, and maybe that physical contact is how he self-soothes in high-pressure situations. That's not hard to believe. Pedro's always come across as a bit introverted, sometimes even shy. But here's the thing, intentions don't always match perception, and the way it looked? That's what mattered. Because if any other male actor had shown that level of physical clinginess on camera, the headlines would have exploded. Boundaries, inappropriate, creepy, but with Pedro, it's being spun as sweet, supportive, or worse, emotional. Intelligence, and that's the danger. When allyship becomes a performance, it stops being meaningful. Pedro Pascal praising powerful women, stepping aside, showing emotion, all of that is fine. But when it becomes a brand? When his quotes feel more like strategy than sincerity, when his public behavior toward a female co-star starts to feel compulsive instead of respectful, people start pulling back. And they should. Because there's a fine line between being an ally and hiding behind that label to excuse things we'd never accept from anyone else. Vanessa might be playing along, she might even believe every word of her own praise. But the internet isn't buying it. The tone, the body language, the carefully worded interviews. It's all too polished, too performative. And fans are tired of being sold vulnerability as a PR tactic. At some point, it stops being endearing and starts being manipulative. Vanessa Kirby probably thought she was helping. After all, in the middle of all the Pedro praise, the viral touching, the obsessive quotes, someone had to step in and stabilize the narrative, and she did, or tried to. In an interview of her own, Vanessa called Pedro the most supportive male actor she's ever worked with. She went on to say she'd never had a male co-star so equal, so generous, so invested in their relationship. On the surface, it reads like a heartwarming endorsement. But when you peel back the layers, it sounds less like genuine praise and more like damage control, because here's the uncomfortable truth. Vanessa Kirby didn't just compliment Pedro, she practically knighted him. Her words didn't just lift him up, they painted him as some kind of modern-day hero. So generous, so equal. As if equality is a gift he chose to give her. As if he had the power to make or break her performance and just decided not to. And that's what rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. If Pedro Pascal's entire job is to play Reed Richards as a supportive, secondary character to Sue Storm, then praising him for letting Vanessa lead is, well, kind of wild. Like congratulating someone for not flipping the script they were hired to follow, and that's where the PR strategy starts to crack. Because it's becoming painfully clear that this isn't just Pedro being Pedro, this is the studio's plan. Frame him as the emotionally intelligent male, elevate Vanessa as the soulful, sensitive leader. Blur the lines between character and actor so tightly that fans don't know where Reed and Sue end and Pedro and Vanessa begin. It's all part of the same performance. A performance that now feels less about the movie and more about shaping a narrative, a very controlled, very marketable, very agenda-heavy narrative. The problem is, audiences are getting wise to it. This new era of emotional masculinity and feminine leadership might have been refreshing the first few times, but now it's predictable. It's rehearsed. And no matter how many times Pedro Pascal says he's inspired by powerful women, or how many times Vanessa praises his generosity, fans can't help but wonder, is this about art or optics? This isn't just about Sue Storm leading or Pedro Pascal oversharing in interviews. It's about the way Marvel, once masterful at balancing character, story, and spectacle, now seems more interested in pushing narratives than crafting them. Fans aren't rejecting strong women. They're rejecting the formula. They're tired of scripts that lecture instead of entertain, characters that feel like statements instead of people, and marketing that treats basic respect like heroic sacrifice. Fantastic Four was supposed to be a reset. Instead, it's becoming a symptom of a deeper problem, one Marvel can't afford to ignore. So the question is, are we watching the next phase of the MCU, or just the slow unraveling of what it used to be? Let us know what you think. Are fans overreacting, or is this exactly the wake-up call Marvel needs?